Hi, it's Vaika, feral deity VTuber and streamer on Twitch, ready to finally share my creation with you guys. My fully automated clipping system. This isn't your ordinary clipping system either. This will happen without the need to even hit a button. So you can sit back and let your saved clips get recorded in bulk directly to your hard drive and ready to edit into content. Now, I've spent over a year refining and testing this on my own streams. I've locked down what works and what doesn't, and tested how load may affect your PC. I do want to preface, this whole auto clipping system I made to streamline editing. Its results may vary depending on each individual streamer and how your stream activity is. This system is highly beneficial to smaller streamers without editors in particular, and it's them that I hope to help take out all the hassle of editing and creating content. Just a warning, this whole clipping system may be dependent on if your PC can handle the extra load, so please be sure when setting up you're aware of that, and maybe could consider a secondary PC just to take off any extra load when streaming using this process. Before we begin, this is a really long tutorial and has taken a lot to put together. Please bear with me for the whole video as I explain everything, and also don't make me regret sharing this. But I have to take that risk. I don't want to gatekeep it, and with how well it's been functioning for me, it's a game changer in the sphere, I hope. So all I ask is that you credit me and share my tutorial around. I'd love to do more tutorials on all of my StreamerBot creations I use, so would hate to be discouraged seeing my work taken. Alright, let's begin. So the core programs you're going to need is StreamerBot, OBS, and the Aitum vertical plugin for OBS. So if you don't have any of these programs, this tutorial and auto clipper isn't for you. But I'll leave some links in the description to where you can get these programs for free and some simple tutorials on setup, as this video would be far too long if I had to explain installing these programs. I will help you with a visual guide for my whole setup of the auto clipping I use, so don't worry, just follow along with me. Note as well, this whole auto clipper will only work with OBS, as it's what I've tested on and ran integrated through StreamerBot. I'm also unfamiliar with Streamlabs or other streaming programs. First step, you need to open OBS and check in your docs menu that you have all the Aitum vertical plugins properly installed. You should see vertical scenes, vertical sources, vertical transitions, and vertical. Click on vertical first to activate the dock. We can have the dock undocked for now so we can see what we're working with while we set everything up. This dock essentially will give you a live preview of the vertical canvas that is going to be recorded. You shouldn't have anything in there just yet as we haven't added anything. I've obviously got mine set up already though. We need to click on the cog icon to open up the settings and change some things first. In general, make sure that the resolution is 1080 by 1920. This is a vertical format that most platforms like YouTube and TikTok use for their uploads. You can actually set it up however you want and for what needs suit you as well. One interesting idea I saw from another VTuber, VaikaVT, was that he made his resolution as wide as 2 monitors and put his gaming screen on one side and VTube Studio of his VTuber on the other with a green screen behind it. This is a great way to record 2 instances of a stream together and edit your VTuber over anything you need later. I'll link his tutorial in the description. We need to set up the core process in this whole auto clipper, backtracking. Backtracking actually runs the entire time you're streaming. It's essentially recording the entire time, but it will only save these clips when you tell it to. So in the backtrack section, make sure the box backtrack runs while streaming recording is checked. Now the next step is up to you. This will determine how far back from the moment the backtrack is triggered will save as a clip. The clip length, basically. I've set mine up at 120 seconds, which is a 2-minute clip. I found they capture just about everything needed at that length. This following step is really important. Depending on how many times the auto clipper is going off, you need to be sure the location you are selecting to save these clips is large enough to hold them. I often go through my auto clips after my stream and delete anything obsolete or not needed. Browse for the location and scroll down. Now, setting up our hotkey. Please be sure you're in the save backtrack hotkey, not the record, We don't want to start or stop the backtrack. That should always be running when your OBS starts streaming if you checked the box earlier. I set mine as Shift plus F4. Make sure you aren't triggering anything conflicting. I like to use the right shift, right control, or right alt keys when running out of hotkey combinations. Vtuber toggle skill issue. You can actually stream directly from these scenes too, so you can output them to TikTok in this format live if you want to explore any other features Aitum Vertical has, but we're done setting up the backtracking and resolution. Time to fill our scenes. Head up to the dock menu and select vertical scenes. The dock will pop out. Feel free to leave the vertical dock open so you can see the preview. Your scene should be blank. I've already made mine, as you can see. What we're first going to do is add some of our own new scenes. Note that these are separate from your OBS scenes, so you can essentially name them anything you want. I'll just use tutorial gaming, so I can show you how to set up your main gaming screen first. With your first scene created in the vertical scenes, it's time to add some sources. Go back to the dock menu and select vertical sources. This new dock will pop out too. We can have all the docks open for now. Click the plus icon like before, but this time we're actually going to add an entire existing OBS scene into the Aitum vertical dock. Why you add the entire scene itself is because we want to capture every element of your stream on the auto clipper recording. This way you can capture alerts, overlays, and all of your sound sources too. Plus, it's just tidier that way. Very important to note, do not, I repeat, do not rename the sources as it will cause issues on your existing scenes in OBS. If you're looking at a vertical dock preview, you can see the gaming scene has been added, but it doesn't fit. But what we can try to do is manipulate the scene scale and position to align all the action happening in the game. Grabbing the corners to shrink or grow it, or holding the Alt key on your keyboard while dragging the sides to crop the source. This next part is up to you and how you orient your shorts or TikToks. I personally have my game slightly smaller and at the top of my vertical clips. I'd advise having a game open, screenshot, or a VOD recording open in your OBS scene so you can be sure you have aligned where all the gaming action is happening. Plus, grab yourself a vertical content sizing template too so you can see safe zones. TikTok, for example, has heaps of icons and UI covering the screen, so you have to keep in mind your game and cam or VTuber are visible, especially with captions too if you use them. You can easily add a safe zone template into an OBS scene and then get Aitum to add the source into the vertical sources, align everything, and then just delete it or turn off the visibility with the eye icon. Now you're wondering, but Vaika, there's a blank gap. I need my camera or VTuber there? Well, you can add another OBS scene. Nothing is stopping you from adding exactly the same scene in a second time. So let's do that and align our VTuber or camera too. This is where you can find what personally works for you. I try to have my VTuber scene overlay the top of the game scene, so going back into the vertical scene dock, use the up-down arrows to make sure the scene you want is in the correct order when aligning everything. If you're like most streamers, you'll maybe have a just chatting screen in your OBS as well, so we can go create another scene in the vertical scenes dock. I'll show you mine that I've already created now that you know how to do it. Just select your just chatting scene instead when adding them to the vertical sources. I've aligned my VTuber and my chat is in focus too, as that's what funny clippable moments can stem from, chat saying something stupid. Now, this final step for Aitum is vital. Go into your vertical scenes dock, right click on a scene and scroll down to linked scenes. This is how we connect the vertical recordings to the same OBS scene you are currently streaming in. So gaming goes to gaming, just chatting goes to just chatting. Link all of the scenes you've made and the Aitum section of this tutorial is done. You can now dock all of the Aitum docks anywhere on your OBS. I put mine on top of each other over in the corner and have the vertical dock visible so I can see how the recording is aligned. Whether or not the backtracking will be too large a load for your PC while you're streaming will be up to your individual hardware. I would advise testing backtracking and resolution for your vertical backtracking. I tried to stream and backtrack with a resolution larger than vertical format and my 4080 struggled, so be aware of that. Next up is OBS itself. OBS actually does have its own inbuilt backtracking recording of its own too, but it doesn't have the vertical options, and I found Aitum has less load when streaming. You can test out what you prefer as well, but you won't have the same options as Aitum for vertical setup. This next part of my tutorial is optional, but I highly recommend all these steps as the backtracking won't always cover an entire section of clippable content. So head into the settings. We're setting up our ability to create markers directly embedded into our Aitum clips and any recordings you do while streaming. That way, if you record streams live, like I do, you can have a VOD saved, preferably with split audio for all tracks, and then have your editing program have markers on the VOD. I've tested having backtracking and OBS recording happening simultaneously, but be sure your rig can handle it. First off, head into the Output tab, use the Output mode dropdown to see Advanced. Go into the Recording tab. Now, the most important thing to know is only Hybrid MP4 currently supports embedded markers, so make sure to use that format. Anything else is pretty standard settings for recording. The audio tracks are ones I use to split my audio. I won't go into how to split audio in this video. The only other thing to note is that you can bump up your bitrate higher than you would your streaming bitrate if your PC will take the load. I have mine set at 6000, so my VOD recordings are crispy, clear, and not crunchy. The final setting is in general. Scroll down to the output section and check the box that says automatically record when streaming if you want your hybrid MP4 VOD of the stream to automatically record when you hit start stream. I actually have my recording automatically start and stop being controlled by StreamerBot itself. Now that's all sorted, we get to the entire brains of this tutorial, using StreamerBot to control everything automatically. So let's open StreamerBot. I won't include in this tutorial how to connect StreamerBot to your Twitch and OBS, but watch this tutorial video here from Nutty. I think he does a really good job explaining. I'll leave the link in the description too. Now, it's important to have OBS running before StreamerBot so it's easier for it to find the WebSocket to connect the programs together. You can tell if it's connected by the status monitor down in the bottom right. You can click on it and see if all of your linked programs are connected. If not, just head up to the Stream Apps tab and find OBS. Right-click to auto-reconnect or force the connection. Okay, so bear with me. This part is going to take you getting to grips with creating actions and navigating StreamerBot's interface. It can be a little confusing. I'd highly advise watching some of Nutty or Gale Levels videos on StreamerBot to really learn how many crazy ways you can use this program. For now, we need to create the main auto clipper action, so head to the Actions tab. As you can see, I have a lot of actions. These can trigger most of my fun creations or auto actions like auto shoutouts, completely automated. So let's make our first action. Right-click any blank space in the action pane and select Add. Call this any name you want. I'll name mine Auto Clip. Make sure Enabled is checked. I'd also advise creating a group so that you can organize all of your actions you might want to create. I'll name mine Tutorial for this video. Then click OK. So now we have an action, we need some sub-actions. So navigate to the sub-actions panel on the right. Right-click in the panel and you'll start to see all of the amazing tools and integrations StreamerBot has. This is why it's my preferred bot and program. If you can think of it, you can make it. Even without knowing coding, which you can also input too if you have the knowledge. Our first sub-action is our marker for OBS recordings, if you wanted to use that feature we set up earlier. Scroll to OBS, and create record chapter. You can leave the connection at default, but I'd advise to select your connected instance of OBS from the dropdown. The beauty of this marker system is that you can name the markers that get embedded. This helps when editing, as you can see what the marker is called depending on what the event on stream triggered it, by hovering over it. Name this one clip, so we know that this was the auto clipper that we are asking to mark. Click OK. This next step is optional, but I would advise. We can actually create a Twitch marker on the VOD too. So if you are making clips directly through Twitch, the highlighter editing page will include markers too. The reason I advise not to create clips directly through Twitch through StreamerBot auto-clipping everything would be because you'll end up with many clips that you'll have to edit and go over published directly to your Twitch page. I find recording your own is easier, and using the Twitch markers can help to find clippable moments too. Right click, scroll to Twitch, Channel, and then Create Clip Marker. Next up, we're going to make our sub action to control our Aitum backtracking. Right click. First option is what we're looking for, Core. Find System, and then click Keyboard Press. Use the same combination of keys that you previously made to control the hotkey for the Aitum backtracking. So mine was Shift plus F4. Check the boxes for your modifiers. At this point, you can actually press the test button and see in OBS if the backtracking is triggered. Hi, Editing Vaika here, just making a quick correction. You can actually use backtrack recording even when you aren't streaming, but you do have to be recording. So go to the vertical plugin and just hit this little icon here to make sure the backtrack is running before you can test the save backtrack hotkey. Okay, back to the video. It should start and stop depending on your clip length, then save in your folder destination where you wanted to store your clips. Now you're scratching your head. How does this all automatically happen on stream though? Well, this is where over a year of testing and experimenting eventually led me. Finding the variables and criteria to trigger the auto clipping live with no input from me, capturing exciting, funny, or memorable moments on stream. Here's how to do it. Here is the core systems I found worked, as well as some extras that you can play with. It was all really so simple, I was surprised nobody used this method. What's one thing that your chat does when something funny happens? They laugh, right? Yeah, now you might be getting it. Your chat is actually going to help you automatically clip things depending on what they are typing in chat. Head to the top of StreamerBot and go to the Commands tab. We're going to create our own custom command. Right-click anywhere in the panel and click Add. You can name this whatever you want, but if you want to keep it simple, I'd advise calling it something like !Auto Clip Controller. I use exclamation points as a way to distinguish my commands as ones that can be triggered in chat manually by typing if you want. But we want chat to help out, not type anything ourselves. Here's where the hilariously simple commands come in. In the commands box, literally type LMAO. That's it. So now, anytime your chat says LMAO, and is laughing at you, we have a command that triggers. It doesn't stop there though. We can add as many words as you can possibly think of that you want to trigger off. Kek, lol, funny, silly, laughing, hilarious. For every word you can think of, be it laughing or maybe GG for if you make a good play, add them in. Each word on their own line by hitting enter. These are your prefixes that will be matched. Now things get even better because emotes have their own individual names. Yep, you can add them in too. Like one of mine is VaikaVT wow. You got scared emotes, laughing ones, crying ones even. If you want to clip off them, do it. Make sure enabled and include are checked. For location, select the drop-down to be anywhere. This means the words triggered can be anywhere in a sentence typed in chat. Make sure ignore bot account and ignore per user counter are checked. Source is Twitch message or whatever platform you use. I wouldn't check case sensitive either, so it will capture in either spelling. Now, vital to this auto clipper is that we don't want this triggering constantly. Depending on if you have a very active chat, this thing would be going off like crazy. So, down in the cooldown section, make the global cooldown as long as the length you set your backtrack clip to record. So, in my case, it was 2 minutes or 120 seconds. Do the same length of time for user cooldown too, so the same person doesn't trigger it constantly, type the same thing over and over laughing at you, for example. Finally, the permissions should be left at default, which are open to you, mods, and chat. Grant type all, so anyone can trigger it. You can actually go into the permissions, so you can select individual user permissions too if you want only one person controlling this, if you prefer. Now, we go back to our Actions tab. We have to add our freshly created command to our action, the trigger. Right-click in the Triggers panel and select Core, Commands, and then Commands Triggered. You can actually quickly create commands from this menu, but we needed the advanced view in commands to enter all of our prefixes. Plus, if you ever forget what you created, they're all in the Commands tab. So, select the command from the drop-down that we created, and that's it. This is the basic core of the auto clipper. You did it! But the fun doesn't stop there, oh no. If you want even more variables to clip off, you can add anything. Just take a quick explore through the triggers and you can see you can clip off raids, follows, gift subs, anything. I have mine personally clipping off raids, as you never know when a big streamer might raid you and you want to capture that moment. You can clip off redeems too. Chat throws something at you, the auto clipper will trigger. Dono goal reached, if StreamerBot has it in its integrations like the Tiltify plugin you can download, you got yourself another trigger. Shout out a particular chatter, clip that too. If you have TTS set up, you might want to record something funny chat says too. I use the sister program to StreamerBot, SpeakerBot, to handle all of my TTS and fully integrate it. Because the stream marker and OBS marker are activated from this action, I'd recommend creating new actions for each event you want to trigger off. That way you can name the stream marker something to separate it from the word auto clipper. So I have mine say raid, so my VODs have a marker on them for when I'm editing, and I hover over the marker and it says raid, and that's exactly when the raid occurred during stream. It's up to you as well if you want the auto clipper recording the event or just the marker tool. You can also directly get StreamerBot to tell Twitch to create a clip to if you want. To make things fast and easy creating new marker names, just copy the action in the action panel and then rename it. Remove the triggers and set up all your new ones. The amount of events, words, and variables I've tested on stream for over a year should do a huge bulk of work capturing some funny, scary, or memorable moments. I did have some extra ideas too, if you are interested. I'll only quickly run through them as this tutorial is quite long. 2 more variables unfortunately require having a much older version of OBS to run the plugin, so I wouldn't advise these. But it can be used to monitor when your mic peaks, so if you're screaming, it will trigger the auto clipper. The other is more scenario based. It's actually really powerful. I've used it to read screen data on a Dark Souls You Died screen, so it triggers a death counter. You will need to roll back to OBS version 30.2.3. The plugin you need is called Advanced Scene Switcher. The reason you need to roll back OBS is that this plugin is sadly no longer supported for newer versions of OBS. Once installed, head to Tools, Macro, and create your macro. Just quickly following my on-screen settings and drop-downs, you want if audio output volume of, then select your mic source, is above, then tweak the percentage or use the slider to see where you peak over screaming. That will then trigger hotkey, and whatever your auto clipper hotkey for Aitum vertical was. The reason this is experimental is if you have a powerful gate or don't scream a lot like me, it's not going to work, but it's an option if you want it. Now, the screen reader is more complicated and specific to what type of game you want to read screen info off. I'd advise using it if you stream one particular game a lot, like maybe Marvel Rivals, and you have screen info to read like a kill or death. One unique thing you can play with is if you're on a lobby screen, you can actually tell OBS to play your music for you, and when it reads screen data that isn't the lobby, it will stop your music. Just go ahead and look at all this plugin can do. It's actually insane. So the main thing you need is a screenshot source of your game in OBS to screen match to while testing, and to read the screenshot from file too. Use different methods and adjust the threshold till the match is found. This is very resource heavy and will likely crash OBS sometimes, so be warned. Try use perform check only in area to narrow down the pattern match. Click show match and toggle the source on and off in OBS to see if it's detecting. Then you just simply add in your hotkey trigger for the auto clipper in Aitum again, and it's done. Lastly, I was in talks with someone in StreamerBot's Discord on a chat rate trigger. So the auto clip would trigger if there was a high rate of chat. Helpful if you're a small streamer like me, because chat rate means something interesting and clippable is happening. I didn't get very far in working out the sub actions, but anyone who wants a crack at it, feel free. It would also be really useful to monitor chat rate and trigger shield mode if bot raids come in, so I might still try work on that one some more. Congrats on making it to the end of this tutorial! You should all be set up, getting more and more clips generated per stream, and in an easily editable format. You can just throw in some captions and upload them raw if you need. The most important thing when starting out as a streamer is just getting your content out there. So do what you can with the time you have, and hopefully this StreamerBot creation I created can help out with that too for small creators. It took a lot of planning and work to get this out for release, so please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you found this tutorial helpful, or tell me how your auto clipping went after stream. I'd love to hear from you and if it's helped. I have heaps of StreamerBot creations I'd like to share in the future, so sharing this video around helps a lot and makes it worth the time getting it all together. Please don't be a dick and piggyback off my creation too. I was considering only releasing this to a small amount of people because of the fear all the work I've done would be easily taken and used by bigger creators. But I couldn't hold onto it in secret, it wouldn't have been right, and I can't gatekeep my tech when I've found out how useful it was, how game-changing it was for me streamlining content creation. I had to release it. Don't let me feel like I've made a mistake, okay? Alright, happy to finally get this out into the wild. Consider stopping by my streams on Twitch as I'm currently partner pushing. And don't say your feral deity Vaika doesn't ever give you anything. Enjoy, my little mortals. Peace.